This song was from the Lent Songs Challenge, which was set in March 2020. So set just before the world changed for most of us with the COVID-19 pandemic. Out of the ideas shared on the podcast to set up the challenge was around thinking about some of those wilderness type experiences. Maybe look at some of the accounts of wilderness in the Bible, or the encouragement to think about times in our own lives that have felt a little bit more wilderness-like. Little did we know when we set the challenge that partway through that month, the freedoms that we'd taken for granted, the easy access to sources of material, relational, recreational and spiritual refreshment would be snatched away from us almost overnight, and we'd be entering into a time of challenge for many. Uncertainty around work, finance, health, anxiety around the extent of the international reaction to this unseen virus. Lives turn on their heads, with no real previous experience of such a thing in living memory for people who were going through it. So I dug into the wilderness imagery and started to think about how I've experienced these times in my own life. Where have my thoughts taken me? What have I found useful in those times to ground myself, to keep going, to press on, believing that there's a time when the wilderness will pass? The chorus of the song is a prayer of relationship. It's a prayer of intimacy. When the silence or the chaos surrounds me, my cry is that God would draw me close, hold me near, speak His truth and drive out fear. That He would lift my eyes from this dust and change my view as I trust. So often our heads can fall, our eyes become downcast, our spirits become heavy when we're going through those wilderness times. Refreshing and renewal is so hard to find, and even taking one step in front of the other can feel like all we can achieve. My cry in the chorus of this song is that rather than focusing on the dust of the desert, God would lift our eyes beyond our immediate circumstances and give us a different perspective, where the wilderness isn't simply something we have to endure, but it's a place where we can learn about ourselves and, perhaps more importantly, learn about God. That He hasn't abandoned us, that He hasn't simply left us to fend for ourselves, but that He's there when we call. When we read some of the Bible accounts of wilderness, we can see them as times of preparation, preparing a nation or an individual for something better, something bigger that lay in front of them. And verse 3 moves on to talk about how God will lead us to the lands He has promised, where all of our waiting is done. As a Christian, I do have this hope in this life, but I also have a hope in the life that is to come, that I'll be with Jesus for all eternity. And it's so easy to focus just on that hope and miss the hope that is for my day-to-day life. I have a hope in seeing God move here and now. And so often after those wilderness experiences, there is a promised land where we can start to trace back and see some of the areas in which our character was developed through all that we've lived through. We say in the Lord's Prayer, "Your kingdom come, on earth as it is in heaven." We long for those times where the kingdom impact and influence on our world comes through in this moment and in this time. There is a hope for all of us that lives beyond the boundaries of our wilderness experience, and that's something both here on earth and in eternity. So, if it feels silent, if it feels like all you can see in front of you is mile and mile of wilderness, and you don't have any idea how to find your way out of the chaos, let your prayer to God be, draw me close, hold me near, speak your truth, drive out fear. Lift my eyes from this dust, change my view as I trust.